first YouTube video. I call myself a recovering social worker. Well, I was in the field of social work for 20 plus years. And then if I take out the actual time in the profession, in academia, I spent about 5 years in both doing my Bachelor of Social Work and then studying early childhood education, as well as studying the area of mental health and addictions. And while I enjoyed this profession immensely in the first decade and a half, or just more than that, in the last few years, I've become very unhappy and very concerned about the trajectory of this profession. I feel that it is now being dictated by radical feminists, by people with very nefarious agendas, and I've seen the consequences of this on our clients, and it's not pretty. For example, the court systems are very tilted towards women. And I've seen very hard-working, good, decent, working dads being just completely devastated and broken. And
see, this is the part that I've been saying for a long time, but a lot of people didn't want to hear me. Now you're hearing it from a woman, and people are going to be butthurt. But hey, get that Neosporin ready, because there's a lot of truth coming out of this video.
And not have their voices heard in the system. I have seen women being given complete custody and access of children who, in my opinion, don't deserve it. And the man, in many circumstances, would be the better parent. But because of the influence of feminism on the court systems, the children are up.
And this is how it is in New York State. The woman could be a social worker told me this. The woman could be, unless that woman's a crackhead, you're not getting those kids. Period. She could have a mental condition. As long as you're not getting those kids. Okay? If she's not on some serious drugs, doing some serious crime, she could be an unfit parent, but it's a racket. And this is how it is, especially in New York State. I'm glad this woman's speaking out.
Often given to the women. And these poor men, they don't have the money to hire high-profile attorneys. So they end up just devastated and suffering silently. What concerns me other than this is the stifling of free speech, the transgendered movement in terms of denying that sex and gender are rooted in biology, which it is. There's XX chromosome for women, XY for men, and then there's a very, very, very minuscule population that is intersex. It used to be called hermaphrodites.
You see, this is something that, we're living in an agenda where truth is censored, especially when it comes to biology. Just like she said, it's censored. And a lot of these people, these trans, there's a high suicide rate with transsexuals. That's not talked about. And if the doctors try to help them and try to tell them, listen, you don't need to change your sex. You need mental health. You need some help. They risk getting their license taken away. Sad.
I think this message is very dangerous, both for clients, because they're not getting the type of services and counseling that they need, because it's not being provided to them. Instead of speaking about the illness that is affecting them, social workers are quick to feed their neurosis and feed their delusion that, in fact, gender, biology, sex, all of this is your subjective experience. There is such a thing as non-binary. Of course, there isn't. There is such a thing as gender fluidity. Of course, there isn't. And
these people are caring more about keeping their jobs than actually helping the patients. And it's sad because that's just how it is. They have to eat. So if they dare try to be truthful, they risk a paycheck. It's sad, but it's how it is in this world. We're slowly going into communism, slowly going to socialism and communism.
Make the choice of where on this spectrum you fall. You could fall in multiple different spaces as well. I think this message has been very dangerous for clients, and we see that with the high suicide rate in people who are both post-op and people who are also dealing with this struggle. I see this type of agenda being indoctrinated in young children in schools, and that really alarms me. And without really proper discussion with medical professionals or scientists, people in this field, I find school boards are very, very quick to enact policies that would prohibit any of the teachers from questioning a student who identifies as non-binary, as gender fluid, as, 1 year female, 1 year male. And I think the consequences of this will be apparent in a few years. We see the consequences already. For example, Johns Hopkins University, one of the top universities in the world, top medical centers, was one of the pioneers of doing sex change operations, but they have since ceased to do this because they see that the suicide rate of clients who had these surgeries was in fact still tragically very high, and the surgery did not help them with their very deep-seated issues of depression. So as a result, they stopped performing these surgeries. We see in Canada any psychiatrist who questions this is vilified and loses their job and labeled. So the direction we're taking is very alarming to me. I worked in women's shelters and Catholic Children's Aid Society in refugee and settlement services with South Asian women. So I had a vast amount of experience.
So you can see how this is all an agenda and how people are suffering mentally, possibly committing suicide, and people are being stifled who actually want to help these clients, but they can't. It's insane.
Experience in 20 years, and I work with every culture, religion, ethnicity, every mental health problem you can imagine. And I will tell you that people come to you when they're most broken, most confused. And most of our clients have had very troubling, difficult lives, particularly in their childhood. And I think it's reckless and irresponsible for social workers, rather than speaking truthfully and honestly about what's troubling them, to further feed their neuroses and delusions by validating nonsense as they are gender fluid or non-binary. And I am deeply concerned about this. I'm also concerned because I've seen colleagues who have said alarming things like schizophrenia, and in reference, this was in particularly to two clients we had where I worked, both women had paranoid schizophrenia, that it was a medical patriarchal system was labeling them as such. And these women had expressed a desire, and in fact, not just expressed it, they wanted to go off their medication, and they did. And this was validated. They were told they had decided to take homeopathic and herbal medicines. And I was challenging this, saying that no, schizophrenia is in fact not a creation of the patriarchal medical system. It is a very...
See, this is how it's an agenda basically to bring down civilization as we see it. You are telling people who have a mental illness that could turn them into serial killers, telling them that you're letting these people go on their own reconnaissance, and they don't have the mental capacity to control their mental illness. You're telling them, go ahead, take some homeopathic medicine, take some herbs and stuff. No, they need treatment. Okay? These people, schizophrenia is a dangerous thing to have. You can hurt people with schizophrenia. You can kill people with this because you're not in touch with reality. And the left don't care. The left care about feelings, and they care about destroying civilization. They're just as bad as the right. Let's keep going.
Serious disease, and it requires medication and very serious treatment. And why I'm speaking out now is because I've seen the negative consequences of what happened to these two clients when they did go off their medication and decided to self-medicate themselves with herbal medicines, with the blessings of my colleagues and our upper management. They had a psychotic break with reality. They ended up being hospitalized. They ended up having their children apprehended by Children's Aid Society. All of this could have been avoided if the social workers and the counselors were not so irresponsible to suggest that there is some flexibility in understanding this disease when really there isn't. suggesting to women that herbal medicines and homeopathic medicines, if that is their choice, then they are empowered and have the right to take those medicines. To me, that is reckless.
They don't have, look, if it comes to losing weight, yeah, take homeopathic medicine, okay? Or dealing with certain cancers and stuff like that, physical ailments, but not when it comes to mental health. Schizophrenia is not something to play with. Bipolar is not something to play with. These things, you know, they can end up hurting people. 1 minute they're okay, next minute they're not. It's a chemical imbalance with the bipolar, schizophrenia. All I know is the fact that you can kill somebody with schizophrenia. If you have it, you have the potential to kill somebody, harm somebody, because the chemicals in your brain is not helping to be in touch with reality.
Irresponsible and a dereliction of duty. And this is what I'm deeply concerned about, is what are we doing in not just the social work profession, but you see it everywhere now in academia. We have created a victim culture right across the board. I think it was restricted to gender studies and the humanities. And I've been in the humanities and gender studies and social work and psychology, but now I think this is seeping through, sadly, into other departments. You see it happening across HR departments in different professions, that there's this narrative that's being pushed. It's a very sort of nihilistic, neo-Marxist agenda, and it denies reason, it denies science. It's really bizarre to me that the left has always critiqued the right as being too religious or conservative and anti-science when it comes to issues of environmentalism, and of course environmentalism is a very important concern. But however, the left has collectively...
The thing is, the left is really communist, and the left is really about destroying society, and they want chaos. That's what it is. They want to chaos, and they are the ones who want to have everybody poor, and they keep all the money. Okay, that's what it is. They want everybody under their thumb. Okay, that's what it is. They don't care about how they destroy society. They just want it destroyed. And that's what they're doing. This is a destruction, because any sound person with medical experience and social work understands the need for medication, the need for science, the need to tell the truth about there's only two genders. Okay, there is no gender fluidity or nonsense like that. Anybody with sound mind understands that truth needs to be told, especially dealing with people with struggling with and suffering of mental illness, not empowering or enabling, a person who's mentally ill fantasies of what works for them when it doesn't. She just told you about a woman who was schizophrenic and lost her 2 children because, the people in charge of her didn't want to tell her the truth about that she needs to be on proper medication, period, at all times.
We lost their mind, sorry to say. For the left not to question Bill C-16, the Islamophobia bill that's being introduced by the Liberal Party, for the left to go along with this charade of transgenderism, that biology means nothing and we're non-binary and non-fluid and people may do as they will and choose. This culture of victimhood that is no longer rooted in, we used to be a culture of reason where it was I think, therefore I am. However, now it's victimhood. I feel, therefore I am. And I'm very concerned about universities, the whole microaggression, safe spaces, trigger warnings, deplatforming of speakers. And the deplatforming of speakers, of course, is typically always targeted towards conservative speakers or viewpoints that the mob doesn't agree with. Case in point, Milo Yiannopoulos at Berkeley University, there was riots, there was someone shot, there were helicopters, there was windows smashed, vandalism. Granted, a lot of the things he says are abhorrent, and I don't agree with half of them. But he has the right to say them, and people have the right to hear them. Instead of trashing universities, people need to give the counter argument. Because I am from the Milton Mill School of Thought that bad ideas, when debated in the open forum, can easily be proven wrong by good ideas. It's a matter of exposing, because as they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant, and I truly believe that. So, like I said, it's my first video, and I wanted to just introduce myself to you and say that I would like to talk about issues of free speech, the radical feminist agenda, which I believe is destroying academia, destroying the social work profession, and most of the helping professions, from nursing to group homes to school boards.
I remember there was a social worker told me about a transgender client she had, and the transgender client had a boyfriend. The boyfriend found out that she was really a he and broke her jaw. Okay. Now, the thing is, when are they going to give these people help and tell them the truth that your chromosomes tell you what sex you are? A lot of these trans women are dying, okay, putting themselves in positions to get murdered, and the Mental Health Association is not doing anything, not telling them the truth. It's encouraging this behavior. And she is right. This is some Marxist takeover, communist takeover. This is what it is. They're ignoring all sound judgment, all sound research facts, and letting people run wild. Just letting them run wild. Karl Marx was a depraved human being, an evil, depraved, satanic human being. Look at his poems. He was also a racist. Okay? Look at the poem called Human Pride. Also read the poem The Fiddler. You'll see what I'm talking about. And these are who these leftists follow. And they want socialism under Marxism. Socialism is bad. You don't believe me? Take a trip. Look up what's going on with Venezuela. Look what's going on with them. They're eating out of trash cans, while the government keeps all the food. That is exactly how you look at Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders doesn't even pay his workers. Okay? It's been told about him. Okay? It's been said about Bernie Sanders. Okay? These people want to talk about eat the rich, and they're rich. They don't care. They want destruction. And this lady, she is brave. She's telling the truth. These medical professions they're not helping people anymore. They're just letting them run wild. Just babysitters, glorified babysitters with degrees now. That's what they are, instead of helping the people.
And other topics. So I would welcome any feedback, constructive feedback. Again, this is a free speech zone, so if you want to make negative comments, feel free to. But I just hope they're constructive. I don't want to infringe on anybody's right to free speech. So people may say whatever they feel like. I hope to make more videos in the future, and I have many incidents, sadly, that I want to share with you about the damages I've seen of this new politically correct victim culture and the consequences it has. What really concerns me are two things. The consequences this has, I think, are really targeted towards young children who are very vulnerable, innocent minors. And these young children, when they're indoctrinated, they will be the future students at university and colleges, and then future engineers and social workers and psychologists of our society. So that's really concerning to me, what the liberal government, the policies that they're introducing, the school boards, the teachers, the type of agenda we see in our school boards. And believe me, I know, because I've worked with over 50 schools. In the capacity of a social worker, I had been to countless schools doing interviews with students and teachers, and I've been to daycares, etc. The second thing I'm really concerned about is this hysterical extreme feminism that is ranting and raving about mythical rape culture in university, which doesn't exist. I mean, it might exist, but it's a very small percentage. The blaming of the white cis male for all the problems that women are facing in the West. I actually feel very fortunate to be in the West, and I see the liberties we have. I mean, women are not restricted to study and pursue any profession, any career they want. We have basically same access to all the resources and all the services in society as men do. Where I think there's real patriarchy and misogyny is in Arab countries, and many, even in my original homeland in India, there's been, of course, drastic improvement with global.
You see, where are those feminists? How come those feminists don't go to Pakistan, where the real fighting is? See, a lot of these third wave feminists, they want to be warriors where there's no fight. They want to go where there's war, where there's no war. They want to be warriors in places where there's no real fight. They won't go to Pakistan. They won't go to India where women are being horribly treated. Okay, or parts of Africa. No, you're gonna just stay here and make up lies about how women are so oppressed in 2021 when women have more rights than men in this country.
With technology, with women being in academia more, but still, I think the most equal societies by far are the Western societies, and Canada, I think, leads the list next to Scandinavian countries. So I really don't understand this ranting and raving, these absurd slut walks, which I think are vile and vulgar. These mythical rape culture myths that are now sort of free-floating and permeating throughout society. And I'm very, very concerned. And I can't see myself in this profession anymore. I think the values of equality and social justice that it espouses, I think that only applies to people who share their narrative, share their ideologies, share their positions. If you dare deviate, the most pernicious people I've met in my life, sadly, are feminists. They're very vengeful. They will get you. And that's really sad. And, the whole sisterhood of women caring about women, no, I don't really see that. That only exists if you share their beliefs. So I'm going to wrap it up now. And
that's basically it. If you don't share this toxic Kool-Aid, you are the enemy. It's basically what it is. But feminism is slowly eating each other because those feminists who don't agree with the trans women being women, okay, or the lesbians who say, oh, this is not a woman because it still has a penis, or they just understand biology, they also are hated and called TERFs. Just to let you know that. Okay, this is all I got for now. If you like the commentary, tell me what you think about what this ex-feminist has to say. Is she right? She is right. It's based on facts. I've been saying this. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a discussion. If you don't agree, let's have a discussion about that too. Why you don't disagree with this woman. All right. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Later.